Hey y'all, it's Leah. I am here with my finished Still Waters Junk Journal January 2026 project. This was a free kit from Debbie at Ink and Page Journals, and I will link that below, where she did daily videos for prompts and gave all of the things away as freebies. And so I highly recommend looking at it. It is a great project for beginners because you can really just kind of watch what she does and do it exactly like she does it, or you can do kind of what I did and just kind of put your own spin on it and use some of her ideas. So it was a lot of fun. This is probably, I have to say, my favorite journal that I have ever made, and I've made quite a few in my 3.5 years of journaling, and I really, really love it. So this is going to be my fourth video, and I've been doing each week where I'm just kind of recapping the prompts from that week. So this is days 22 through 31. I went ahead and didn't do one on the 28th because I figure there's just a couple more days left in the month. I will probably do a full flip through in a few days once I go through and add in. I have a bunch of stuff left over because Debbie gave way more than we could use in our daily projects. So I'm going to go in and make some different pockets and different things out of the scraps and then add those into my empty pages. So I'll do a full flip through once it is all over. But right now, I just kind of want to show the last week's worth of pages. So this was day 31, actually, was doing our cover. So I used one of the images. She gave 3 different images that we could use. And so I used the butterfly because I really did use a lot of butterflies throughout this. And I fell in love with that picture. I did some, just a thin line of copper paint around the edge and then just little splotches of copper paint on some of the dots, and then backed that with a piece of muslin that I frayed on there. And then I just took a piece of organza ribbon. This is my favorite to use to tie journals together, and put that on down first and had that go behind there. And then Debbie made this really cool little kind of book spine for us to say what the title of the journal was, Still Waters. That was kind of her theme for it, and then added the Junk Journal January in 2026 on there. So I love that that is going to be on my bookshelf kind of facing out like that. And then I did the same thing with the paint and just that little fray of muslin sticking out from there. Okay, so that was day 31. So let's go ahead and open this up, and of course I get a little knot in it as I'm trying to do that. All right, let me grab my prompt list just so I have that sitting next to me. So this was day 24, and it was just stressed, and I really had a lot of fun with this page. So I used some mesh. It's kind of got like a sticky back. This is for like drywall, doing drywall. And so I used a piece of that, and then I watered down some of my chalk paint and painted that over it. I added just some little strips of paper, different papers that we had on there. I mixed in some kind of a bluish gray paint with my texture paste, and so did some stenciling here and here and here on that, and then added in some copper thread underneath the butterfly. And so I really and then a piece of lace. This was some lace that I had dyed for a page that I'll show you in a little bit. And so I really like how that page turned out. Okay, and then day 29 was map. And so she went with kind of a celestial map. And so that was a cool little take on it. So I've got this here, little pocket. And then I went ahead and did, when I was making this tag, this is just kind of a collage background, but I went ahead and used a piece of an old map and of a road map. And so I thought that would be fun to kind of mix the two, especially because it's keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground, from Teddy Roosevelt. And so I figure like this is kind of the star part and this is the ground part. And so it kind of combines those two things together. And then just one of our little cards there. And I may go back with some of these later ones, and add some things. This week has been kind of weird for me. And so, for some things, I didn't get as involved as I had been for some of the other things. So, this is actually, there's a bunch of them. So day 22 was tab. And so I made 3 different page tabs that I have spread out throughout my journal. So this is one of them, and just remind myself to breathe sometimes because I need that reminder. This is day 25, and this was torn. This was another really, that's why this is my favorite journal, because I felt like every day I was saying, this is my favorite, this is my favorite. So this one, we did this really cool little flip book with just random pieces of paper, and then tied together with some eyelash trim that I got that happens to be copper. And then it's got a collage background, and then this torn pocket, and then it's got another little torn pocket in front of it. And I used one of my little snippet pieces. That was one of the fun things about doing this, is there were pieces that we could make and then add in different places throughout the journal, and I really liked that. The snippets came in handy quite a few times. And then I just have a couple of little pieces there. Got to put my little copper accents on that. And then I like her idea of putting this in by just the back page, and so then that kind of hangs over like that. Then I have day 30. This is layer. This is one that I probably will go back and add some more, but it is just layered pockets. And so I've got that tag, and then this one I added the butterfly. I need to kind of stretch out my my string there and make that kind of more fluttery. And then did that one with my little copper pieces on that. And then this is another, this is the one that I wrote the day on and typed it on there. So day 22 for tabs. So that's another one of the little tabs that I did. I really like these really long page tabs. Those were cool. And then this was day 26. This was another really fun one. This was collage. And so Debbie's got great ideas of different ways to do collages, because I had never really thought about it, of doing it in layers. I was always like, oh, you just do one layer. And she actually does kind of like 3 layers. And I thought that was a really cool way of thinking about that. So I just added a bunch of different pieces on there. I'm loving this Tim Holtz washi tape, or like cellophane tape on there. And then I went with the Be the Change quote, because that's a quote I always had hanging in my classroom, was be the change you wish you to see in the world, from Gandhi. That's one of my favorites. And so had to go with that one. So I thought it was serendipitous. Okay. This was day 28, and this was book page. And I went ahead and put this on the front of a signature because it was a little mini book and it was going to take up space, and made a little pocket out of one of the little pieces that she had in there. And so this is another place that I used one of my snippets, and then added some little beads here. And then we just have a little pocket there with some little pieces. Did some layering here. Just clipped in 2 little pieces. I figure like that's the stamp that could have been like on a postcard. I love this image she had. It's very Edith Holden-y. So that's fun. And then just kind of added in some other stamps with some fabric washi on there. Stapled. I liked her idea of adding varying your ways of adhering things together instead of just always gluing. So doing little staples on things. I use the Good Things Happen, some more little fabric tape. And then I liked adding in this really wide piece of lace on there. When I had my texture paste out the other day, I went ahead and followed Debbie's suggestion of like using texture paste on a bunch of different things that I had. So I had these little tags left over from a previous day. So I added some of that, just a little stamp, and then stapled that on there. And then some butterfly washi I found. And I just kind of clipped those little things. I've got this layered on there, and a little book cover. And then some more layering with some more butterfly washi, and then just some little pieces of maps with like a little ticket. Maybe that's how you got there, kind of thing. So, and then again, that is stuck in by the last page, so it just kind of hangs over. And then I used a book page. This was a piece from a vintage garden encyclopedia that I have, and so I thought that was perfect because this is kind of like a little field guide, field journal with you know, nature things on there, and so I liked that. Added some more of that tape on there. So just trying to echo little pieces throughout, use some similar pieces throughout the journal like I would normally in most journals that I create. I try to kind of echo different things throughout, and so I liked that. So this is where I dyed the lace. So Debbie had given us this card with the colors, and then she had the words on there. So I tried my best to dye my lace to match those colors. So I just used some of my Distress Oxide inks in. So most of the time I could get with just one color, but some of them I mixed. I blended a couple of colors together to try to get the right shade. And so I just used that with a little bit of water on my glass mat, and just I had some cream lace, and so that way it was all the same lace, but just dyed in the different colors. So, and then this is a little flip, so I'm going to go and add something else to this. So I haven't decided. I probably will put, there's another cool little paint palette on there that she had given us. So I think I'm going to do something with that and put that there. So I'll see, we have kind of a week in between projects before she starts her next project. And so I'm going to use this week to do this. That's another one of the tabs on there. And then this is one of my favorite things that I did. And this was for stencil. So I should have showed this part. So this is what I started with, was doing this page. And so I have some stenciling with texture paste, some stenciling with paint back here, and then just kind of did some layering with some lace. And I had done this butterfly that I had heat embossed, and then I was like, well, I need something opposite. And she had this really big butterfly in the kit as well, and I knew I wanted to do something with that. So I just stenciled in the background of this graph paper, and then I embossed this butterfly, which if you are doing this kit and you haven't heat embossed any of her images, please do so, because it just makes them pop. And then we had this piece of, it was kind of some washi strips that she had created previously. And so I was like, oh, it's the butterfly part. So I cut that apart and attached it behind the butterfly, and then just made it a belly band, and then added, my mom makes these little antenna, and so I added the antenna to that, and I just love how it just looks like he's hanging out on that flower. And so I really, really, really like that one. And that is the last of my pages for this last week. So if you haven't checked it out, if you are at all interested in it, I highly recommend doing this project. It was so much fun, and her videos are great, and I can't say enough great things about it. So I will probably be back in, hopefully, I'm giving myself a couple of days. So hopefully next week I will have another video with the full flip through with some extra little things in there. So thanks for watching. And if you like this, please subscribe. Please like the video. That helps a ton. Helps my little channel grow, my little channel that could. So I really appreciate it. So see y'all next time. Bye.